All right. So one of the great things is we get to work with people of all abilities, not just elite athletes. You're obviously an elite athlete, but the wonderful thing about what we do is we're able to help people not just be better runners, but be better metabolically. And so you had 3 different runners doing the 250 and probably several doing the 125.
Yeah,
and Eldon Crest.
Exactly. I didn't have anyone in Eldon Crest. I just had one in the 125, a few runners in the 125, and I had 3 guys in the 250. More middle of the pack, and then upper third of the pack.
Right.
2 other guys, or front of the pack for Mike, should have been up front more.
Yeah.
But all of them, all 3 of them are OFM athletes as well.
And they're all in the Vespa.
Yeah, they're all.
Well, Mike isn't on the Vespa.
Mike is not on the Vespa.
He knows it works. One time he came up and he says, "I tried the Vespa. It works." But he's Mike.
Yeah, he just there hasn't been a relationship there yet.
Yep.
But I do think that, everybody kind of uses it every 2 hours or so, the way we coach it at least. I know that's the way you coach it.
2 to 3 hours, yeah.
Yeah, every 2 to 3 hours have a Vespa concentrate. Sometimes a CB25 at like an aid station with crew or something, or a drop bag, just to drink an extra one. But I use that as a foundation with my carb drip. That's how I use it personally. I have electrolyte and carb drip going on through the whole race.
Yeah, it's what we call our foundational fueling because we're fueling with our body.
Yeah, and it's helping you get a little higher fat oxidation rate. So, but all of these guys like really kind of focus on their diet as well, and lifestyle diet and OFM. So they try to take it to another notch that way.
Well, you did a great job with Chad, by the way. You got him lean and mean and ready for this race, and talking with him while I was pacing and all that. You were like spot on, and he wouldn't have done it by himself. And I'm not saying that as a dish; he just didn't know what to do.
And he wanted to. He came to me and said, "Hey, I want to focus on my diet on this training cycle." Because he loves to.
So he snacks.
He snacks and he likes to do. And he goes, "I know I need to like not do that because I do sometimes." And he goes on these little kind of waves where he does that for a while and he put on a few pounds. And then he'll come back to me and be like, "Oh, let's dial it in." And we dial it in for the race, and he was nice and lean for this race.
No, he said a couple months out, you got him to dial it in. He said, "I instantly dropped 10 pounds."
Yeah, and then he's going to pills a lot easier.
Yeah.
And so, he was really fit. Wes Rittner was another athlete I have who's OFM. He was fit too coming in this. He had a great training block. I did a little training camp with him on the course in March. And then also we had Mike. So and Mike's been OFM for a long time. He definitely got his electrolytes off in this race.
Yeah.
He really messed up there. And I have theories on it, but I don't know where.
Yeah, who knows with Mike? But the thing is Mike got his electrolytes off in the super hot year, so he probably overcompensated, tried to formulate it rather than realize, oh, it's a cooler year, I don't need as much.
That's my guess.
Yes, that's my guess too. Because he suffered that one year.
That's my guess, knowing Mike too, as his coach. I'm sure that's what he did.
We love you, Mike.
Yeah. Well, but I do know that like he made some adjustments later that contributed to the water weight issue he had. So that's something he and I will like kind of flesh out at some point and kind of talk through the specifics so we can really dial in what exactly happened. But we just have some floating theories at this point. And actually, he and I and Zach Bitter sat around in a circle and kind of like hashed it out a little bit after he finished. So Zach had some thoughts too, and I kind of agree with all of them. Like I think we're probably somewhere in the ballpark.
Yeah, I don't know that much about it other than what you just told me. So, but just remembering that he took a beating in the hot year, and so many people want to formulate their hydration, right? And they don't think about the dynamics of it. And
it has to constantly kind of evolve on the fly in the conditions.
Absolutely.
And that's a really important piece because that means you need to be intuitive even when you're tired.
That's right.
You have to be a little intuitive. And so it has to be a really big mental focus during a long race like this.
Right.
With a basic plan, but be able to evolve like up or down from that.
Yeah, adapting as you go.
Yeah. So anyway.
But anyway, you had several people doing the 125 too.
Yeah. I did.
Yeah, and that's a great thing because because Chad wanted to have crew, but he didn't have crew, and so I was following you and Andrea and Chad because I knew you were all best OFM runners and trying to help out, and then Chad, I wound up crewing Chad because he was the one without the crew, and
I'm glad you were able to crew him. That's
good.
It
really he was thankful, and it really helped him because we got it, and like at Dead Horse, we decided after Whiskey Row, he said he tried to sleep in the sleep stations that people were talking at. He had the earplugs in, couldn't sleep. So we decided after that, I said, sleep in my car, dude. Because I had a blow-up mattress and a sleeping bag, and I turned the car on and had the heat going. Because when you're doing these things, your metabolism turned up, and you get there in the middle of the night, and as soon as you stop, it turns down. You're sweaty, you get chilled.
Oh man, you get cold.
So you need to have the heat up. So first night he slept an hour and a half, and by about an hour 15 he was starting to toss and turn because the pounding coming down from Jerome had his hips hurting, and then at Munns that really I let him go. He was really tired because that climb up Schnebly, he did that in the afternoon, and it really
that can be hot in the afternoon too.
Right, but he didn't get to Schnebly late enough to do the sleep there. He was there just as it was getting dark and went out at dark, so we planned the sleep at Munn, so I let him sleep an hour 45, and he was like out, because I was awake in the front seat the whole time, kind of half dozing, and we had the heater going, but he was just like out the whole time, just totally good, and then got him going, and that's where he really kind of fired up. I mean, I was surprised how quickly he came into Fort Tuttle. Yeah, no, you have him really dialed in, so. Yeah, and any other thoughts on this?
No, I mean, I think the biggest thing is that, for me is every one of these is like an adventure, a different story, and a learning experience. Every single time I learn something, every time I do one of these things. And so it's just, it's cool to like to not have everything go exactly according to plan, because then you learn things from it and you get better and you get smarter. And I think that's my takeaway, at least from this experience.
Well, not only are you going to be better as an athlete, but you're sharing this with all the other athletes. We're sharing this, and this is what I like about what we're doing is, I'm considering like what we're doing with OFM as a collaboration. Like I'm reading all these papers and thinking about it and working with athletes, and you're working with athletes, and we're talking together. This is really like, a collaborative effort that we're all going to learn from.
Yeah. And I have to say, like, it's been quite life changing to like mess around with OFM in my in my mid 40s, and now I'm in my early 50s, and I'm feeling like still recovering. And
I mean, even after having your oxygen go down, you look great. You're tired, obviously. But...
Yeah. I've had 3 nights of sleep. So that's good, and my swelling just finally fully went away last night. I did have more water weight than normal. It's hard in these long races, these really long races like the 200 plus, because you're out for so many days and you're going through 3 days of heat. I did 3 full days in the sun, and it's just really hard to go to really cold nights and then really hot days and try to get your electrolytes exactly right. It's just you're overshooting sometimes and you're undershooting another time. And so you get some water retention and all kinds of stuff in these kind of races, and so you have more edema and swelling after the 200.
But it's still not like before. It's nothing like your 100-mile days pre-OFM.
Yeah, I would say this. It's probably it's like that. It's close to my 100-mile previous days.
But you were still recovering
250,
faster.
yes.
But you still recover faster once the edema goes.
And so like I definitely, just the 250 is big. It's just so big, everyone's swollen. Like even no matter what, even OFM athletes are going to be a little swollen.
Yeah.
It's just so much longer. But we do recover really fast. My athletes, that's been one of the coolest things, and that's one of the reasons that I've been able to race so much, in the last, say, 10 years, is because of that. Because of just like the recovery benefit that always is happening. Especially if you focus on your diet the first 72 hours. For me personally with OFM, like, this is how, one of the things we kind of push athletes to think about is like, I know you want to go have that junk food, like, reward after the event. Like, and you should.
Yeah.
But
after that,
don't do it right away.
Yeah.
We have them wait like 3 days.
I'm actually okay with them doing like that first meal they have if they want to have something like a greasy burger and fries. It's okay, but then you need to go strict.
Yeah. First meal, it can be a little loose.
Yeah.
High protein, but a little loose. And then after that, we really strict up and do pretty much protein and fat. A little bit of carbs, but not a ton.
Mostly vegetable type stuff.
Yeah, for like 48 to 72 hours, depending on your like inflammation, and it will knock it out, and you'll be like really good. And then go have like beer and pizza, and on day 3 or 4 after the race. So wait till you're kind of back and say, go take your family. That's what we do now. We go, okay, we had a great event. So this week, like coming up, after I get back with my wife, I'll take my whole family out and we'll go to beer and pizza or something.
Right.
When I'm like, 6 or 7 days after the race or 4 days after the race, when I'm not inflamed anymore, I've gone past the inflammation phase, and that gets you recovered for the next event.
That's right.
So I'll be back training quickly because I'm being strict in the first 3 days. And then I'll kind of loosen it up. I'm going somewhere with my wife. I'll loosen it up in the next couple of days.
Right.
But the swelling's gone.
But here's the thing. Like, you're talking about the recovery, and you're a much better communicator than I am. I'm going to give you that because I'm going to go with the Peter thing. But it's a paradigm shift. We have to kind of gently move that paradigm shift in thinking, because the money of this is not that you actually recover faster per se. We're preventing the damage on a cellular level that you need to recover from.
Right.
And that's where the real value of what we're doing is that you recover faster because your mitochondria and your cell wall isn't as blown up as when you're burning a lot of sugar, because you got the oxidative stress, you got the lactate, all those things of burning, over consuming. I'm not saying don't consume sugar, over consuming, right? Yeah.
And that's the nice thing about being on OFM. It's like, you're not trying to push, 300 or 400 calories an hour. You're pushing more like, 200 to 300 at the most. And sometimes.
Yeah, in this cool weather, 200 but like on a hot day, you could be under 100. Most days you could be 150, 100, 200.
Right.
For a racing condition.
Yeah, definitely. And more liquid calories in the heat of the day.
Yep.
That's one of the things we
Simple sugars.
Yeah, just really simple like carb drinks work really well.
With the electrolytes dialed right in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Cool. Well, where can people find you? If you want some ultra coaching with OFM, where do you find Bronco Billy?
GiddyUpUltra.com or GoBroncoBilly.com, and link in the bio on Instagram.
Yeah, and then for Vespa, if you want the products, go see us at VespaPower.com, and if you need some help working through some metabolic stuff, go to OFM.io. And like I said, this is a collaborative effort. I was telling Jeff before, we want to grow the pie. We're not trying to fight over pieces of the pie. We're trying to grow a bigger pie, because what we've seen and experienced, not just ourselves, but the athletes we work with, it is life-changing.
It is really cool.
Yeah.
One of the things we were working on for for Cocodona is something on longevity, a story on longevity, and for me, from my point of view, and that OFM's been a huge part of that, a part of my longevity.
Yeah.
Of recovering and racing my rear off in the last 7 or 8 years, in my late 40s and early 50s, and still performing. And I do still have the drive. I'll give myself a little credit. I'm not saying that.
It's not that it takes away from you. It just helps you get to your potential.
Yeah, and so it really does help, and I've seen it really help a lot of athletes, especially older athletes who are like, "Oh man, like I'm getting old, and this sucks, and I just want to still run and have fun." Really, they're simple. They just want to run and have fun, and it's been cool to see someone in their late 60s or late 50s have kind of a late age like life transformation.
Yes.
Where they're like, I had one athlete who ran a 125 for this race. He's in his 60s. And his wife, I was on speakerphone on a coaching call, and his wife, he said, "Jeff, I didn't think I could get this lean again at my age."
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, And he goes, and I'm recovering so fast from workouts. And I was like, yeah. And his wife in the background was listening and goes, thank you, Jeff Browning.
Yeah.
And those kind of stories like really like hit me because you're not just like helping someone like, oh, let's just try to PR in this race. I'm helping them like, you know, hopefully she's more attracted to him, right? Yeah. And hopefully he feels better about himself, and hopefully he lives longer, and hopefully he has a more, you know, active lifestyle for a longer period of time in his life because someone helped him, guide him through tweaking his diet a little bit and guiding him in training.
No, right? That's the reward I've had all these years. I mean,
it's awesome.
Working with Zach, working with John Olson, Jenny Capel, those my early adopters, and I'm losing money like crazy, but I know I'm onto something. But that's what, if it wasn't for all these people I've helped out, including you, it's like I would have had to quit the business. But I know, you know, this is something, and it's been a pleasure working with you and having you spread the knowledge, and then of course Michael's spreading the knowledge in the Michael way, and it's good to see that we're starting to get a little bit of traction.
Yeah, it's cool, and I you know, I'm obviously gonna keep doing it, and so will a ton of my athletes.
Yeah. Once you get the experience, you don't go back.
Yeah, I have tons of athletes even that will like do a really good year pull or 2-year pull on OFM, and then come back another, you know, and maybe
take a year off, and then all of a sudden
or 6 months, and they're just like, man, I gained 15 pounds, and I like feel like crap, and like I gotta get back. I feel so good, and then they get back and they're like, oh yeah, and the cool thing is once we give them the tools, they can kind of get back there themselves,
yeah,
you know, pretty easily. They start tweaking their diet again, and it's like they feel great again, and then they're right back on it. So it's usually a pretty, you know, once people get it, and that little bit of time to get it and understand it, they never really leave it.
Well, it was really, to me, what was really inspiring for me is watching Chad when he came into Fort Tuttle. He was fired up. I mean, he had a good solid rest break at Munns, and you know, he said it was tough getting started because it was the deep, you know, 3-4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it's hard to get going.
Right.
The coldest part of the night.
But he came in there with a fire lit, and we had trouble getting to Walnut. We went and had breakfast without he had a lot of time. All of a sudden, it's like
he's moving,
and he was fired up. And then, you know, we're going up Eldon, and I mean, we motored up in like an hour 40. He didn't have breathing problems, but we just were.
Yeah, try going up Eldon nose breathe only.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
That was like torture.
But it was real. You know, we pushed up steady, crested, put on layers, and hammered down. He was. Cool. He said, he told me, he saw something where somebody was finishing strong at Cocodona. He said, I always wanted to do that. I didn't think I could do it. And we ran from the top of Eldon all the way in hard.
That's cool.
Yeah, we started out from Walnut. We started out easy. We were running, but we were keeping a very easy pace and saving it. And I gave him a Vespa Ultra Concentrate, made him take one right before the climb up Eldon. Gave him one after the Eldon aid station, and we just motored.
Cool.
So it was really, really good. Yeah. So, yeah, great time. I really enjoyed it, and you know, you got to be the poster child, because I'm testing the other side of the boundaries, like you say, the falling off. And it's like, once you have that capacity, they're pretty big, but it still sucks getting back on. But you're the guy, I tell everybody, Jeff Browning is doing it 110% right. You know, the resistance.
I do it all the time.
I know, you're living it. You're the living.
I don't get off the train very often.
No.
I only step off for like one meal at a time every once in a while.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, that's why I tell people, Jeff Browning is the guy that's doing it absolutely on point, right? You're living at altitude, right? The perfect altitude. That's why we got that data that you and Peter have. That,
yeah, totally.
You know, you're doing it right. So kudos to you, and let's keep this rolling, man.
Thanks, Peter.
No, thank you. Yeah.
Giddy up.
Yeah.